Breaking right now on Morning News Now, escalation and uncertainty in the Middle East. U.S. forces launching what officials are calling self-defense strikes on Iran, just hours after President Trump downplayed his own claims that a peace deal may be near. Now, Iran vowing to respond decisively to any violation of the ceasefire. We'll have the latest. Also developing moving forward, Republican Congressman Thomas Massie making a decision about his future after last week's primary loss fueled by a feud with President Trump. And in Texas today, voters heading to the polls in a primary runoff election. The races to watch and what the outcome could mean for the future of Washington. Plus, parts of the South picking up the pieces after a series of severe storms that's still impacting travel plans for the busy Memorial Day weekend. We are tracking the conditions so you can start your work week. And ticked off. That's right. Tick season has arrived, and it is early this year. What's behind an uptick in tick-related ER visits? And what you can do to protect yourself. Apologies for that early morning close-up on a tick there.
But if social media influencers talk about it, you know what they would call it.
Oh.
TikTok. All right. Good to have you with us on this Tuesday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. We are going to begin our show with that breaking news I just mentioned out of the Middle East. A new escalation in hostilities between the United States and Iran is threatening the ceasefire between the two countries, just days after President Trump said both sides were close to a peace deal. This morning, Iran says it shot down an American Reaper drone and fired at a U.S. fighter jet that had entered its airspace. That was in response to the U.S. military carrying out strikes on targets in Iran near the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM said on Monday the strikes were, quote, an act of self-defense.
These renewed tensions come as Iranian negotiators visited Doha, Qatar, to discuss the latest peace proposal. Tehran warned a deal was not imminent, despite President Trump's initial optimism. Speaking overnight during his visit to India, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it might take a few days to iron out the remaining differences.
The straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls, and obviously that needs to happen immediately as soon as anything's agreed to.
With something like this, and it's going to take a couple days to settle on, even down to the disagreements over a word, sentence. So we'll have to work through that. If there's going to be a deal, we're going to have to work through that. But this is, it's either going to be a good deal or there isn't going to be one.
NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Doha. So, Raf, walk us through, first of all, just the latest round of hostilities. What's the U.S. saying about why it carried out these strikes, and how is Iran responding?
Guys, good morning. Yeah, so we started getting reports of explosions in the Gulf around 1 a.m. local time. We then heard from U.S. Central Commands. They said that they targeted a number of small Iranian boats that were attempting to lay mines around the Strait of Hormuz. They said also that they attacked Iranian missile launching sites on land. And they are describing these as strikes carried out in self-defense. They say that there was a threat to U.S. military vessels that are in the region right now carrying out that blockade of Iranian ports. As you said, the Iranians are claiming they shot down a Reaper drone. We don't have any confirmation of that. They say they also opened fire on an F-35. And we are hearing from the Revolutionary Guard today, who are saying that they are prepared to carry out further retaliatory attacks if necessary. Also notable, we did hear from Iran's supreme leader, who again has not been seen or heard from in public since he was wounded at the start of the war, but he is once again making threats against American bases all across the Middle East here. Guys.
Raf, are there any signs these attacks might derail peace talks?
So that is the big question that is being asked here in the Middle East, across the world right now. It is worth saying that we have seen spikes in fighting over the course of the ceasefire, which has held for the last 7 weeks or so. And each of those cases, violence has escalated and it has gone back down. You heard from Secretary of State Rubio talking overnight. He seems to feel that this is still on track, that we may still be a few days away, but that an agreement does appear in sight. So for now, while there's a lot of rhetoric, and there certainly was shooting overnight, the mood here in the region does seem to be that both sides are trying to edge closer to getting that agreement finalized.
Raf, what's happening in Lebanon is also a big part of this. On Monday, we know Israel vowed to intensify strikes on Lebanon as part of its war with Hezbollah. So what's the latest there? And is Lebanon still a part of this peace deal that is being discussed?
Yeah, so Lebanon is turning out to be a really complicated part of these negotiations. The Iranians are saying that this agreement has to end the fighting on all fronts, and that includes Lebanon. Now, the Israelis are saying that whatever happens in the rest of the region, they are going to continue operating in Lebanon. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying yesterday, not only are they going to continue operating, they are going to intensify their attacks. So it is hard to see how both of those needs can be satisfied in one agreement. What we have heard from the Trump administration so far is a sort of careful effort to walk the diplomatic line. Secretary of State Rubio saying that Israel retains the right to act in self-defense. But whether or not that means that Israel can continue to move thousands of troops around in southern Lebanon, certainly can Israel carry out attacks in Beirut, the Lebanese capital, that remains to be seen, and that is going to be a key part of these negotiations. Guys.
All right, Raf Sanchez in Doha. Raf, thank you so much.
Well, back here at home, President Trump plans to go to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center later today for a medical and dental checkup. According to a White House official, it will be the president's third checkup in his second term.
President Trump turns 80 next month. Last year, he became the oldest person ever sworn in as president. Despite that, he routinely says he's in excellent health, but he does face some questions over his bruised hand and apparent drowsiness during public events.
NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz joins us now with more on this and some other headlines from Washington for us. Megan, good morning. So first, let's start on that checkup. What do we know?
Hey, guys, good morning. Yeah, so as you mentioned, this is President Trump's third in-person doctor's visit in a little bit over a year. So I want to walk you through some of those previous visits that we had learned about. So after his October visit, it was later revealed that President Trump had a CT scan done of his heart and of his abdomen. Now, his physician had said afterwards that it was perfectly normal and revealed absolutely no abnormalities. Now, after his April visit of last year, the physician as well said that President Trump was in excellent health. And as you mentioned, President Trump, too, has said that he is in great health as well. But, you know, at times his health has faced scrutiny, in part because of his age. He's 79 years old and he turns 80 next month. But also, as you mentioned, because of things like the bruising on his hand, which is often covered up with makeup when we see that as well. You can see on your screen right there. Now, the White House has said that that's because President Trump shakes a lot of hands and said that it's also because he uses aspirin as a blood thinner. Now, usually after types of visits like this, we oftentimes get a readout from the White House physician where we might learn things about any tests that the president underwent, as well as the physician's diagnostic summary as well. So that's something that we're going to keep an eye on and hopefully get an update on later today.
We'll see what that readout says. So, Megan, one of the president's biggest Republican rivals is back in the news. We're talking about Representative Thomas Massie. Lost his primary last week, but now he's filed what's called a statement of candidacy with the Federal Election Commission yesterday. So what could that mean for his political future and also for the race for his seat later this year?
Yeah, that's right. So he filed this paperwork with the FEC for 2028. But a big caveat here, this does not mean that he is definitely running for office in 2028. What it basically does is that it allows him to continue to raise money as a potential candidate for federal office, as he said as well in his tweet where he announced that he was filing this paperwork. He's reiterated, too, that he has not made a final decision about which office to seek if he ultimately even does end up running. Now, just a couple of days ago as well on Meet the Press, Massie was asked by moderator Kristen Welker about the possibility of whether he might potentially run for president in 2028. Take a listen to that exchange.
I will not rule out anything, and right now I'm not going to rule in anything. But I think I will stay engaged in some way or shape. Maybe it's from the outside. I've been exposing what's going on in Washington, D.C. for years, and I'll keep doing it.
In that same interview, Kristen Welker had asked him that if he ultimately did run for president, would he run as a Republican? And he said that he would not rule anything out.
Megan, we also saw another shakeup. This was in President Trump's cabinet with Tulsi Gabbard announcing her resignation from her role as Director of National Intelligence just last week. Have we learned any more about why she's stepping down?
Yeah, she said that she was resigning effective at the end of June and said that it was because her husband was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of bone cancer. She posted her letter of resignation on X, and she wrote that he faces major challenges in the coming weeks and months, saying, "At this time, I must step away from public service to be by his side and fully support him through this battle." Now, President Trump had weighed in on Truth Social as well, saying that Gabbard has done an incredible job and we will miss her. He also said that Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Aaron Lucas, will serve as the acting director of National Intelligence. Remember, Gabbard is the fourth member of President Trump's cabinet to leave during his second term. She follows former Attorney General Pam Bondi, former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, as well as former Labor Secretary Lori Chavez-Dreamer, guys.
All right, Megan, thank you so much.
Staying with politics, Texans are heading to the polls today to vote in a number of key primaries and runoffs.
That's right. Among the biggest races to watch is the Republican Senate runoff between four-term Senator John Cornyn and State Attorney General Ken Paxton. Just last week, President Trump threw his weight behind Paxton's campaign, dealing a blow to Cornyn, who was also hoping to receive the president's backing.
Here to discuss this and some of the other races we're watching is Jessica Taylor. She's the editor of U.S. Senate and Governors at the Cook Political Report. Jessica, good to have you with us. So we know in the March primary, Cornyn was ahead by a slim margin. He got 42%. Paxton got 41%. But since then, President Trump has sort of weighed in, endorsing Paxton. So this is really seen as another test of the president's endorsement power. What does this endorsement tell us? How do you see it impacting this race?
What it tells me is that President Trump is sort of using free rein with these endorsements. He's gone against the advice of national Republicans who have told him that endorsing Paxton would make this seat more winnable for Democrats. In fact, we have said that if Paxton wins this contest tonight, we are going to shift our rating of this race from likely to lean Republican. Whoever the nominee is will be facing a strong challenger in Democrat James Tallarico, who's raised more than $40 million already and counting. Paxton has a lot of baggage from his impeachment, from bribery scandals. His wife has left him on biblical grounds. And John Cornyn has been sort of a stalwart Republican. Has he broken with Trump at times? But he's still voted with him almost 99% of the time. So Trump, I think, has been emboldened by knocking off some of his foes like Bill Cassidy in Louisiana, Thomas Massey, and he's gone against the advice of many of his advisors in making this endorsement.
Jessica, the other big battle that we're watching here, the one to succeed Paxton as Texas's Attorney General. So Congressman Chip Roy and then State Senator Mace Middleton are fighting for that one. Notably, though, the president has not picked a side here. How significant is this runoff? What do you see happening?
I mean, Middleton is branding himself MAGA Middleton. He has a lot of money from his family's oil and gas business. Chip Roy has sometimes been a thorn in Trump's side, so Middleton has used that against him. But he's a former chief of staff to Ted Cruz, so it's sort of the Cruz wing of the party. I think this could be a very close race. Middleton came in first, but there's been a lot of money spent in this race, so polls show it pretty close.
Jessica, there's some Democratic drama too. We're keeping an eye on the 18th Congressional District runoff. This puts 38-year-old Representative Christian Menefee against the 78-year-old incumbent, Representative Al Green. Many people are sort of viewing this as a battle over the party's generational divide. Talk to us more about the significance of this one and just the impact it might have on the broader Democratic Party moving forward.
Well, I think the age issue is particularly salient here because you've had two members in part of this district that was redrawn that Menefee succeeded that have died. And so Al Green is even older than they were. So I think that Menefee is arguing, I'm the future. He has some crypto money behind him that's spending. So I think that Menefee is a slight favorite. He's running as the more progressive candidate, even though Green has been sort of a progressive stalwart too. I think this is an issue where it's sort of a passing of the torch, but I think that Menefee is the favorite in this contest right now.
All right. Jessica Taylor, good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
We've got an update now on that toxic emergency in Southern California. Thousands of residents in and near Garden Grove have been cleared to return home after officials say the risk of a catastrophic explosion at that GKN aerospace facility has been averted. The emergency began on Thursday when a tank holding gallons of a flammable chemical overheated, forcing evacuations. Crews worked around the clock to cool down the tank while monitoring pressure levels. Officials now say the crisis has eased after a crack in the tank. It was actually good news. It relieved the intense pressure, helping to drop temperatures inside. Evacuation orders were reduced from around 60,000 to 16,000 people in the area. Officials do say, though, some risk does still exist.
Much of the country is feeling the impact this morning of what was a washout of a Memorial Day weekend. Severe flooding continues to be a major concern right now. Swift water rescues are unfolding in several states, stretching from Texas to West Virginia. That dangerous weather has been a soggy hurdle for millions of people trying to get home from a busy holiday travel weekend. NBC News meteorologist Dylan Dreyer will have your forecast in a moment. But first, NBC's Priscilla Thompson has more on this latest round of storms.
You got a baby? Edge, be advised, the car's going towards the creek. We got an infant in the car.
A heart-stopping rescue in South Texas as a vehicle is swept toward a rushing creek.
Yeah, give me the baby.
First responders racing into the fast-moving water after this sedan became trapped in floodwaters with a baby inside. One officer then grabbing the infant in a carrier. Another quickly draping his coat over the baby in the pouring rain.
The vehicle has slipped and she is currently submerged in water.
Officials say one person has died after this car was swept away. The deluge stretching from the Gulf Coast to the Northeast.
I'm almost to my knees in water now.
In Mississippi, this woman's home surrounded by water.
Look at this.
Floodwaters inundating this gas station in Alabama. Heavy rain and wind toppling a massive tree in New York City, crushing multiple cars.
It sounded like a bomb going off when it hit.
In Texas, a menacing funnel cloud illuminated by repeated flashes of lightning. The weather turning deadly in South Carolina, where officials say strong winds ripped a patio umbrella from a table, killing a woman. Across the country, a Memorial Day weekend washout. Parades canceled, bounce houses blown away.
Anderson.
Graduates receiving degrees in downpours in Tennessee. And now, a travel nightmare.
Have you had any delays? We got a lot of rain.
I just saw that my flight is delayed.
There have been more than 4,000 delays and 170 cancellations. On the roads, even under sunny skies, there's no escaping the holiday gridlock. Traffic bumper to bumper headed into Yosemite National Park.
The scene there, thanks to Priscilla Thompson for that report.
Well, for more on all this, let's get a check on your Morning News Now weather.
Meteorologist Dylan Dreyer has the latest for us. Dylan, good morning.
Hi there. We are still dealing with that really heavy rain down across the southeast. We'll be in and out of it, so not pouring every single second. But when it does rain, rainfall rates could be as high as 1 to 3 inches per hour. A lot of the heavier rain now is moving out of Tennessee up into Kentucky, but more wet weather is going to redevelop down through Atlanta into Mississippi, into Alabama. So that's the area where we do have the flood watches in effect. The ground is completely saturated. If you get rainfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches per hour, the water really has nowhere to go. So we'll see ponding on the roads. We'll see some flooding, or at least the potential for some flooding too. So what is going on? We've got this stationary front that is just sitting around, and as long as it stays put, these little waves of low pressure right along it. So we'll see another round of heavier rain move through San Angelo again today. Heavier downpours, some isolated stronger storms with some lightning, and we could even see some small hail as well. And then here it moves right back into Louisiana, fires up across Mississippi, fires up across Alabama throughout the day tomorrow. Again, as long as that front stays in place, this threat is still there. So we do have the flash flood risk. That's the water that just comes down really quickly. It doesn't last that long, but long enough to perhaps impact the roads and homes in that area, especially across most of Texas, where areas like Dallas and Midland all included in that, Austin too, and then a secondary area stretching from New Orleans right up into Virginia, where again the ground is just wet, so this water really has nowhere to go. So that's going to increase the flood threat. As for additional rainfall, as much as 3 or 4 inches, if you get stuck in some of those heavier tropical-like downpours, you will most likely see more than that. Now for the heat. The record high temperatures are Forecast today across Billings, Montana. Minneapolis, 89 degrees. Chicago, 86. Cleveland, 72. That's right on track for average this time of year. Tomorrow, though, you get up to about 77. New York gets back up into the 80s. Norfolk, 88 degrees. And then as we continue through the rest of the week, we'll see some days dropping off into the 60s, back through Milwaukee, staying in the 70s in the Northeast. The sunshine finally returns. Out west, slightly unsettled, a little windy in the southwest, and it looks nice in the Pacific Northwest. Back to you.
Good for the Pacific Northwest. All right, Dylan, thanks so much. All right, get ready, New York. The Knicks heading to the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. Knicks fans can now celebrate like it's 1999. That was, after all, the last time the team clinched the Eastern Conference title. Last night, they finally did it again, inspiring large crowds to flood the streets of Manhattan and celebrate their beloved team.
Look at these watch parties. It's so exciting. The Knicks completed the sweep against the Cleveland Cavaliers with a dominant 130-93 win on the road in Game 4. This actually now marks their second straight series sweep in this year's playoffs. After trailing in the first round against Atlanta, the Knicks have now won 11 straight games. They also posted the largest point differential in NBA playoff history over that span. They've earned a short rest period before the finals get underway, while the Western Conference Finals wrap up. The OKC Thunder and San Antonio Spurs are currently tied at 2 games apiece in what's becoming an epic series. The Knicks have not won an NBA title since 1973. It's about time.
It's good for them. I think New York's very excited about my team's out. The Spurs beat my Timberwolves, so I'll go with the Knicks right now.
Well, it's also just like, no matter what, it's fun to be in New York right
exactly,
now.
Exactly. And they'll have to wait a while. NBA Finals next week.
Yeah.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, Pope Leo speaking out against AI, his warning to the world in a landmark statement.
But up first, after the break, renewed concerns about an outbreak of the hantavirus. What we're learning about a new case of the potentially life-threatening disease. We'll be right back.
We are back with details about a new confirmed case of the hantavirus. On Monday, the Spanish government said it confirmed a new case of the virus connected to that cruise ship that was at the center of the outbreak. The Spanish health ministry said in a statement that a Spanish national who has been in preventative quarantine at a hospital in Madrid tested positive for hantavirus. The result came during periodic testing of people who were in close contact with someone connected to that initial outbreak. The health ministry says this case does not change the risk to the general public because that person is already in isolation. Most of the cruise ship passengers are under quarantine in their home countries. That includes 18 Americans. The incubation period for hantavirus up to 6 weeks. There have been no new deaths since the outbreak was first reported to the World Health Organization on May 2nd.
Well, in a world that's growing increasingly reliant on and influenced by artificial intelligence, the technology has a new outspoken critic, Pope Leo XIV. The American pontiff is taking a strong stance against the potential dangers of AI in a landmark encyclical. That's a teaching letter to the church. It was released just yesterday. He called it Magnificent Humanity.
Pope Leo is warning artificial intelligence is fueling and normalizing conflicts around the world. He's calling for both stronger regulation of AI and also for a slower pace of its advancements. In that presentation yesterday, he said AI is, quote, dramatically changing how war is waged.
Artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. The word is strong, I know, but deliberately chosen because this moment needs words capable of attracting attention, awakening consciences, and indicating paths forward for humanity.
NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us with more on this. Claudio, good morning. So interestingly, I thought the Pope released this with one of the co-founders of an AI giant, Anthropic. A lot of our viewers probably know it. That co-founder was in attendance. Tell us what the Pope said here.
Hey, Savannah, Joe. Well, first of all, this was never meant to be a criticism for artificial intelligence. It was more like a call from the Pope and the Catholic Church to make sure that developers develop and use artificial intelligence for the benefit of all, for the common good, rather than the profit of a privileged few. He also called for governments, for instance, political leaders, to regulate artificial intelligence before it's too late. He covered a lot of subjects in this very long encyclical. It's more than 42,000 words long. He called for the safeguard of rights of workers at a time when, of course, already entry-level people's jobs are being replaced by AI. He's called for the criticism of the concentration of power. He said that now power is concentrated in the hands of private actors who do not have the same accountability, for instance, that governments do. But perhaps if you want to summarize all that encyclical in one sentence, well, you just heard it. He said we need to disarm AI, and he kind of made that interesting comparison with nuclear energy. He said that just as nuclear energy could be used for civilian and peaceful purposes, but also, of course, as a weapon. Savannah, Joe?
Claudio, this is Pope Leo's first encyclical. For those who don't know, it's an official teaching document from the Pope, an old school letter that often focuses on modern moral and social challenges. He took the unusual step of being in attendance for its release. How significant of a moment is this for the Pope? And just how does this encyclical compare with ones maybe we've heard from previous popes?
Well, not only he attended in person the presentation of the encyclical on Monday, he sat there throughout the whole of the briefing. That was almost 2 hours, listening carefully with what the other speakers were also saying before he made the introduction himself. And in a way that proved how much he cares about this subject. And we all knew he cared about artificial intelligence because he made it known right away. From the very moment he announced the name he chose as Pope, when he appeared on that balcony in front of everybody's eyes. Now, Pope Leo XIV, he chose it as a follow-up of Pope Leo XIII, who at the end of the 20th century, he was a champion. He wrote an encyclical calling for the safeguard of rights of workers in the first industrial revolution. And in that encyclical, well, in that briefing during his address, he said that we are facing a transformation of similar magnitude, perhaps with even greater consequences, guys.
Claudio, what does the Pope want to see here in terms of regulation or safeguards? Did he get specific?
He went very much into specifics, for instance, when he talked about war and the weaponization of AI. He said that it is absolutely not permissible to use AI to guide autonomous weapons. He said specifically that he demanded transparency and accountability by AI developers so that the chain of decision-making command in ordering strikes with AI weaponry is always known. And he was talking, he didn't make any specific references to anything, but he probably pointed out how dangerous it is to allow AI to guide missiles or drones without human interventions, guys.
All right, Claudio, thank you so much.
The paraglider involved in that terrifying mid-air run-in with a plane high above the Alps is now speaking out. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda has the details of those frightening moments.
Hours after this harrowing collision with a small plane over the Alps, the paraglider who posted this heart-stopping video is speaking out. Writing on Instagram, which we've translated from German, "The biggest thanks to my lifesaver, my reserve parachute," which the 44-year-old, identifying herself as Sabrina, deployed while spiraling out of control thousands of feet in the air this weekend. Alongside several pictures showing before, during, and after the midair scare, Sabrina, who did not respond to our request for comment, added, "I wasn't anywhere I wasn't supposed to be, and that as a paraglider, you can't avoid a small plane." Police in Austria didn't name the paraglider or the 28-year-old pilot who told police he was unable to avoid the collision in time. But investigators say a motorized aircraft should give way to an unmotorized one, and have charged the pilot with causing bodily harm through negligence, according to local reports. Sabrina discouraging people online from bad-mouthing either of them, while an experienced paraglider who regularly shares her adventures, she says now back on solid ground, "It won't get any more exciting on this channel, so don't expect another stunt like this."
Sabrina also shared that accidents still happen even with rules, but she is hopeful that her close call is a good reminder for others to fly a little more attentively moving forward.
Back to you.
All right, I agree. A motorized aircraft should give way to an unmotorized aircraft. That seems like a great rule. Emily, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Can't get over that video. All right, coming up on Morning News Now, ticking time bomb, a warning from health officials ahead of summer. Tick season has arrived early this year, and it's already sending folks to the ER. We're going to have more on the dangers and how you can protect yourself and your family.
And small talk, big benefits. Why experts say striking a conversation with a stranger could help your mental health. Your weekly check-in is next. Stay with us. Time now for our weekly mental health check-in. This week, we're looking at concerns over young men who are going to extreme lengths to improve their looks.
Also, could it be good for us all to talk to strangers a little more often? We'll explain.
Let's bring in Dr. Sue Varma. She is a board-certified psychiatrist and author of the book Practical Optimism. Dr. Varma, always good to have you with us. So let's start with this warning about young men obsessing about improving their looks. It's known as looks maxing. It's getting a lot of attention. Lewis Black had a hilarious sketch about it on The Daily Show recently. You should check out. But mental health professionals are sounding more alarms about this. Talk about the risks here.
Yes. So, it's not the grooming that's the red flag. It's the intense fixation with physical flaws that leads to a lot of distress, rigidity in nutrition and workout schedules. And that makes a person feel like their entire sense of self-worth is coming from how they look. And then this can cause impairment in functioning. And my concern is that a lot of this eating disorders or body dysmorphia for boys and young men is kind of going under the radar because it does not present typically as just being fixated on thinness. It might be body composition and leanness and having a chiseled jaw. And some people might think it's within the realm of normal, but we're doing a disservice by underdiagnosing a lot of these problems in boys and men.
Really important information there. All right, Dr. Varma, this one's interesting. Sometimes, right, we all want to do the right thing. Sometimes maybe we worry whether we are doing the right thing. But this is actually, it's going a little too far for some people. It can become an obsession. It's being given the name moral OCD. Walk us through this when this becomes something a little too serious and how somebody can get help with this.
Yes, it's often missed because, it shows up, it might show up with intense preoccupation with following the rules and being a good person, but the person is ruminating and it causes so much anxiety where they're like, am I thinking a wrong thought? Am I a bad person for, wanting this? Like they're not understanding that thoughts and behaviors are two different things. And they're looking for 100% certainty that this doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. So I'll give you an example. When we think of OCD, sometimes it might be hand washing or cleanliness or germs or checking locks. This is how it presents in a lot of my patients. Or when I'm walking, I have to count a certain number of steps because it's auspicious. Or if in my head I didn't land on the number 3 when I was walking, I have to go back and walk it again. Here, this version is thoughts. So if I think maybe I didn't pay for a grocery item, guess what? I'm going back. I'm checking my list 400 times. I'm going back. I'm paying for things I don't need to. So people miss trains as a result of it, right? They get into car accidents as a result of checking and tense checking. So this is really hard. And a lot of times talk therapy traditional doesn't work or can make it worse. So there's something called exposure and response prevention that you use for typical OCD. So diagnosis is key so that the person can get the right help.
Wow. All right, let's get something else, maybe a little lighter. Here's something we can all work on. There's this article in the Washington Post suggesting we should all try talking to strangers a little more. Walk us through the benefits of this.
Yes, I'm such a big believer, and this is something I do, and my kids make fun of me. They're like, Mom, why are you being such a stalker, talking to strangers everywhere you go? And it's something that I learned from my own parents growing up when we were on the grocery checkout line or at a fast food joint or whatever it is. Engaging in strangers has so many benefits because, number one, both parties don't realize how much they might have needed it or how much they enjoyed it. It's something called micro connections, and I talk about this in my book. People are one of the 8 pillars of practical optimism. These built-in layers of connection. It could be talking to your dog walker or your doorman or a barista or like person on the grocery checkout line. And, it doesn't have to be these deep, intense conversations, but what it says is, I see you, I see your humanity, you exist, you matter, have a great day. It could literally be 30 seconds, eye contact and a smile.
That's a great way to sum it up there. I love it, too. The other day, I was walking home, and I walked for 2 blocks with a stranger and talked the entire time while they were walking their dog. So, yeah, those things are absolutely bring a little light to everyone's day.
Absolutely.
Dr. Varma, always good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Well, if it feels like ticks and mosquitoes are showing up earlier this year, you are not imagining it. They are. As more of us spend time outside, experts say it's a good time to think about how to stay protected. The CDC says hospital visits for tick bites are already on the rise. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin has more.
Yeah, I start with her head first.
Chelsea and Jameson Latko have been battling ticks for months.
Tick season started a little bit earlier this year than last year. Pretty much the second the weather got nice, we let the dog out and she came back in with a tick.
The Northport, New York couple take the job very seriously, spraying their property with repellent, cutting their grass weekly, and regularly weeding.
We're taking smarter approaches to minimize our exposure.
Both say they have already been bitten by ticks multiple times this year.
My biggest concerns are that one of us are going to get sick or that our dog is going to get sick.
They're not alone. Data shows a record high spike in ER visits for tick bites last month, with states in the Northeast seeing the highest rates. According to the CDC, Lyme disease is the most common tick-related illness, with nearly 500,000 Americans diagnosed each year. Dr. Peter Griffin is an emergency medicine physician in West Virginia.
The milder winters and earlier springs contribute to there being more ticks around and more animals harboring diseases like Lyme disease.
There's no vaccine yet. To prevent contracting a possible disease, experts say wear appropriate clothing, use insect repellent, check for ticks, and remove them.
Sit.
For the Latkos, their fight against ticks is just getting started.
Good dog.
Good girl.
I think ticks will be part of our lives for a long time, or as long as we're still here.
A reminder this season,
bring it up.
Small bites carry serious risks. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Oh, all right. Well, for even more ways to stay safe this summer, we've got NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar joining us now. Dr. Azar, great to see you. Okay, I'm very concerned about this, as I was just telling you throughout that entire story.
Yes.
Let's start at home. What are the best things that people can do to maybe even try to prevent this from happening, to make your yard less attractive to them?
Absolutely. Prevention is definitely key here. And if you think that ticks like to have grass and brush and all of that kind of foliage around, so the sort of more streamlined you can make your yard, the better. You can have pest control come in. Think about all the leaves that are lying around. You want to mow your lawn frequently, trim back the branches. Think about where your children are playing, on a deck or a playground. Make sure that, stuff isn't growing all over into that space. You can remove old furniture. They like to hide in those places. So little things like that. A little different from mosquitoes. We always talk about standing water.
Right.
It's not quite the same for ticks.
So if you're, say, not going to be at home, you're heading out for a soccer game, or you're going to go out for a hike or something like that, obviously spray is important.
Yes.
Anything else that we should be prioritizing?
Yeah. And the kind of insect repellent that we recommend is something that is EPA registered. That's the Environmental Protection Agency. You're thinking about something like DEET or picaridin. That's for kids 2 months to 3 years. You can also use something called lemon of oil eucalyptus. You can also treat your clothing and your gear with this compound called permethrin, which is also an insect repellent. When you want to think about how do you repel just by what you can wear, it's light colored clothing. It's long sleeves. Make sure your pants are tucked into your socks, all of that kind of stuff. And stick to trails. Again, you don't want to go off-roading into where there's bushes and lots of branches and trees and things like that.
But then don't forget to check your scalp, because you're probably not covering that. And I have had a tick on your scalp, so that's
there you go.
A really important thing to check. All right, let's say that you've been outside and you do get one.
Yes.
What do you do?
Okay. Well, so first of all, coming in from the outdoors, immediately you want to start checking everything, right? And the thing that's really interesting is that if you look at a graphic from the CDC about all the places that ticks go, under the arm, around the waist, in between the legs, in your back, in your scalp, it's everywhere. So one of the most important things actually is come and shower immediately when you come inside. And then you can look at yourself, right? You can see yourself without your clothing on. You can have somebody else take a look at the back. But also, really importantly, we were talking about pets. Pets are a big old vector for bringing those ticks in, and also check your gear because they can hide in those places. Then you bring them into the home, and then they can technically, attach there.
If you do actually find a tick bite, what are some of the symptoms you should watch out for? At what point do you contact a doctor?
Okay, and so also about removing the tick. This is really, really important, right? I have to go and order Joe, otherwise
of course,
I lose my whole thing. So it's really important to do. You don't need to, don't light a match, don't do anything funky. If you see the tick there, you take a clean pair of tweezers and you want to attach the tweezer as close to the skin as possible, and then with just a swift upward 90-degree, don't twist, do anything like that. You can clean the bite area with soap and water, clean your hands with soap and water. You can flush the tick down the toilet. You can put it in a little plastic container. The things to look for, right? Not everybody who sees a tick on them is going to be infected with Lyme disease. That's really, really important. But people are at risk for infection from Lyme disease if the tick is attached and engorged for more than 24 hours. The things to look for in the few weeks after a tick bite, we're talking fevers, chills, a bullseye rash, which only about 75% of people will have, but then as sort of a malaise, it can feel like a flu-like illness. You don't have to, you can certainly call your doctor. Testing early that's not how we make a diagnosis. If you live in a Lyme endemic area and you have symptoms that might be compatible with Lyme disease, or you have a bullseye rash, that is a clinical diagnosis of Lyme. It takes a couple of weeks for the lab test to become positive. So definitely reach out to your doc, and they'll go through, cough, runny nose, that's not Lyme disease. Lyme disease has a very distinctive early phase.
The other thing, just quickly, that was super helpful for me when I had a tick is if you keep the tick and you can test the tick, and then they know what type of tick, right?
So technically speaking, the CDC doesn't recommend it, and this is why. There's a lot of companies out there that advertise, tick testing, but you can get false negatives, false positives. So if it's negative, it might be a false reassurance that you don't, and if it's positive, it doesn't mean you're going to develop Lyme. I did it once, back in the day. Like I brought, is this even the right kind of tick?
Right, that's what happened to me. Mine didn't carry
right.
it. Right.
And then is the tick actually infected? So two things have to happen there. But I think if you stick to this idea that if you just find it on your body and it's not attached, nothing to worry about. If it's been there, you think for, again, over 24 hours and engorged, you get more concerned. They're really important to wait for symptoms. In some endemic areas, doctors will prescribe a one-dose prophylactic antibiotic, although it's not formally recommended, across the U.S. everywhere, but definitely something to talk to your doc about because different sort of rules apply to different areas in the country.
All right, Dr. Azar, thank you so much. Great info.
Coming up on Morning News Now, turning tragedy into hope.
You see the girls tell me again and again, camp is my favorite place in the world. And what I tell them is, we've got a new home.
Up next, we'll take you to Texas for an exclusive look at the efforts to rebuild a girls' summer camp devastated by deadly flooding last year. We'll be right back. We are back now with an exclusive look at a summer camp in Texas that is being rebuilt after it was destroyed in last July's deadly flooding. NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler spoke with the family behind the effort. They explain why they feel it is so important to reopen the camp.
It's the sound of hope in the hill country as the race to reopen is on.
What do you see when you look around at your new camp?
Magic? Does feel like a miraculous task at hand for John and Elizabeth Hay. Rebuilding the girls' camp their daughter has loved for years from the ground up after it was destroyed last summer. The Heart of the Hills was among the many summer camps devastated. Its longtime director died when the floodwaters took her from the campgrounds, one of more than 100 killed across the region.
The search and recovery that we did really refined our perspective on our future.
The day after the flood, John and Elizabeth were on the ground helping first responders. In their search for survivors, they found a new purpose.
The things that we were doing with our daily life didn't matter the same way that they did before the flood. We want to do the right thing for the future, and this is doing the right thing right now.
The right thing isn't always easy. They decided they would buy the camp and give their own land and resources to build it again, with safety top of mind. 100 feet above the floodplain, the new location is designed to keep kids safe and parents at ease.
Our vision for it is just going to make it a fantastic property for the girls.
But it's an around-the-clock sprint to finish before they welcome back the first session of girls this week, hoping to make the same memories in a changing environment.
Did the tragedy in the hill country last summer change the way we will view summer camps forever?
It will never be forgotten, the tragedy of last summer. The respect for the river is important, and the respect for Mother Nature. It's critical that we, as we went into this project, that young people, in our case, young ladies, come to camp, they have a wonderful time, and do so in a safe and welcoming environment.
But we ended our day down on the banks, where the water once rose 30 feet.
We're excited to hear the sounds echoing off of this, of young ladies, cannonballs, and just the laughter.
And excitement to reclaim a river that took so much, but still promises so much more.
Camp is a spirit, and it is moving here.
You see the girls tell me again and again, camp is my favorite place in the world. And what I tell them is, we've got a new home.
A new home with the same heart. In the Texas Hill Country, Ryan Chandler, NBC News.
Let's get you some money news now. Elon Musk's SpaceX preparing for a historic debut on Wall Street.
NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has everything you need to know about that and more with our Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. SpaceX's filing is giving investors a closer look at the ambitions and risks behind the Elon Musk business that's expected to make history. The company disclosed billions in losses, but it is expected to be valued as high as $2 trillion, which could make Musk a trillionaire. But what about other potential investors eyeing the debut? According to a Reuters analysis of some of the largest IPOs in recent years, investors would likely see better returns by putting their money into an S&P 500 index fund. SpaceX is expected to go public as soon as next month. Meanwhile, backlash following a Starbucks Korea promotion gone wrong. The controversy surrounds a marketing campaign tied to the anniversary of the May 1980 military suppression of pro-democracy demonstrations. The Starbucks Korea CEO has been ousted, and during a press conference today, the chairman of the group that operates Starbucks Korea apologized and took responsibility. And Ferrari is attempting to race into the EV space, showing off its first all-electric model, the Luce, made with the help of iPhone designer Johnny Ive and collaborator Mark Newson. It has all-wheel drive, 4 doors and 5 seats, the company saying it's, quote, designed and engineered to be functional, intuitive, and thrilling to drive. But of course, this comes at a time when we're seeing softer demand for EVs. So especially in the luxury market, all eyes now, guys, are on whether or not this car does, in fact, pick up steam here.
What would be funny is if it just looked like an iPhone. It's just an iPhone that drove around.
Maybe something about it gives that Johnny Ive flavor. I don't know. Maybe that will get people to go on and buy it.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Thank you.
A billionaire-backed competition is shaking up the sports world. The Enhanced Games, as they're known, made their debut in Las Vegas over the weekend. Organizers say they're, quote, pioneering a new era in athletic competition by featuring dozens of athletes from around the world. But get this, they're all allowed to use FDA-approved performance-enhancing drugs. Quite the departure from the Olympics. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster reports on the results and reactions from critics.
Greek swimmer Christian Kolomev racing across the pool, finishing the 50-meter freestyle faster than the official world record time.
Kolomev, Brad world record! 24 record!
His victory earning him over $1 million in prize money.
It's gonna change my life to the good for sure.
But despite the fanfare and celebrations, the official world record will go untouched. Kolomev's winning time unofficial because it's at the Enhanced Games.
It's time to meet our athletes.
It's the highly controversial sporting event backed by the likes of Donald Trump Jr. and tech billionaire Peter Thiel.
This is life-changing, no?
That's life when you enhance, baby.
That allows swimming, weightlifting, and track athletes to take FDA-approved performance-enhancing drugs like steroids, blood boosters, and testosterone under medical supervision.
And now the people at home can also get enhanced and become the best they've ever been.
Tom spoke with the game's chief sporting officer last week.
The very simple question, why?
Well, I think the main reason is that, you know, we're interested in athletes pursuing their human potential and their limits and doing it in a medically rigorous fashion.
The organization loosening the rule book on doping, even selling injectables and supplements on its website. Also permitting long band apparel like the synthetic supersuit for swimming.
The supersuit is crazy.
But despite the drug-fueled boost, only one world record was topped. And in the 100-meter sprint, Olympian Fred Kerley won, he says, without using performance-enhancing drugs, beating out several athletes who did.
I'm not a judger, so everybody came here to do their own responsibility to showcase their talent to the world.
The event widely condemned by the International Olympic Committee and the World Anti-Doping Agency.
What's the biggest fear that you have with what you're seeing?
And I'm just really scared that something like this would almost poison the idea of sport. where all of a sudden it's a science experiment that you can win by spending the most money.
But event leaders say pushing boundaries is the point.
I'm incredibly proud and worked 6 Olympic Games and have enormous respect. But what we're doing is something different.
Enhanced scrutiny for the enhanced games, raising new questions about the bounds of athletic competition. Shaquille Brewster, NBC News.
Certainly the way to put it, raising new questions.
Yes.
Coming up, no pressure, just playing, a new kind of kids league, rethinking the way kids see sports.
Soccer is not as fun as kickball.
How come?
Because in kickball, you're just meant to have fun.
This is the opposite of the story you just saw. When we come back, we'll take you to Arizona, where one dad is just tossing out the playbook when it comes to kids and sports. So don't drop the ball. Morning News Now. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. When it comes to youth sports, parents are faced with all these tough choices and trade-offs. Should they pay for travel teams, trainers? What about injuries? But maybe all that is missing the point.
Yeah, what about just having a good time and getting some exercise and some fresh air? Well, a new sports league in Arizona was created to focus on fun and teamwork instead of just winning. Now, Helani Graf from our NBC affiliate in Phoenix has that story.
Boom! On Saturday mornings, this field fills with something many parents say has been missing from youth sports.
Nice!
Fun!
We just want our kids to be able to go outside and have fun.
Scott Smith started backyard kickball after his 8-year-old son didn't make a little league team.
We know that's going to probably come when he's older, maybe 12, 13 years old, or even high school age, not when he's in 2nd grade.
So when his son asked to play a schoolyard favorite instead, Smith went looking for a kickball league. There wasn't one, so he built it himself.
There's no high club sport fees. There's no equipment really needed. There's no practices required. They just show up on Saturdays and play.
And as we know, if you build it, they will come. And boy, did they. The nonprofit's first season drawing about 50 kids, many recruited the old-fashioned way.
The best marketing has been the kids actually going to school, passing out flyers and recruiting kids for their own team.
For kids like Crosby, that low-pressure environment is the best part.
That it's not like people are yelling. It's not too competitive.
And for parents, that shift is striking.
Normally we're like, you gotta go out there. And now she's just taken off.
Maggie Haddon says her daughter had tried other sports before, but nothing really clicked. Now she's engaged, found confidence before striking out on sports altogether.
But she's been excited to get up and go on Saturday morning and give it her all.
The league comes at a time many parents are re-evaluating the intensity of youth sports culture. That's why here they still learn collaboration, teamwork, but no travel fees or pressure to perform. Just kids covering the bases of childhood.
Soccer is not as fun as kickball.
How come?
Because in kickball, you're just meant to have fun.
And for these kids,
Crosby, go home!
That may be the real home run.
Our thanks to Helani Graf for that report. As an old ref, I can tell you the parents could use that too. Sometimes they need it more than the kids.
Yeah, good.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for being with us this Tuesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, shaky start to summer. Severe storms pummeling large parts of the country from the south to the east coast. The Memorial Day weather even raining on the president's parade, though he didn't seem to mind.
Beautiful day, as it turns out. It's just perfect. We'd rather have this than the heat.
Millions of Americans, though, now under flood alerts with rainfall rates seeing several inches an hour. The storms prompting ground stops in Dallas and airport delays across the country. The travel troubles still ahead with more rough weather on the way. Plus, cease to the ceasefire. The U.S. military carrying out new strikes in Iran, launching what it's calling self-defense strikes near the Strait of Hormuz. Iran now vowing to respond decisively to any violation of the ceasefire as the status of the truce appears uncertain. We've got the latest from the region and what this means for any deal to end the war and reopen that critical strait coming up. AI acting out. A new study finding some of the top AI models are disobeying user instructions. The sneaky tactics these systems are deploying to deceive folks later this hour. And start spreading the news. The New York Knicks proving they want to be a part of it. The NBA Finals, that is. After a stunning series sweep, they're now heading to the finals for the first time in 27 years. Got to look at all the action from the team's historic night. And now they wait to see who they're going to face, the Spurs or the Thunder.
Good day to be a New Yorker.
It is, exactly. Let's begin this hour, though, with a soggy start to the summer season. Many folks across the country still bracing for dangerous weather after celebrating Memorial Day out in the rain.
Yeah, and this morning forecasters say it's not letting up. The storms are also prompting delays and ground stops on one of the busiest travel days of the year. We will bring you a full look at today's forecast in just a moment. But first, we have NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joining us from Atlanta with the latest on the impact this stormy weather is having on all of us. Aaron, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. You know, every day it seems like we've had rain in this part of the country. Not seems like, we have had rain almost every day for a week now. And we want to show you what can happen when you get so much rain. This tree fell on top of this house yesterday, and we know that the ground under it was so saturated with water. That's part of the reason that fire officials believe it came down here. The reality is we're looking at storms, we're looking at the potential tornadoes, and of course flooding as things that really came to fruition and made a mess of Memorial Day. This morning, severe weather pummeling much of the country, from a tornado in Alabama to waterspouts seen here in the Florida Panhandle.
I don't know how they're going to get to their houses.
The rain-soaked weekend leading to dangerous and deadly flooding. One woman killed when rushing water swept her SUV out of a parking lot in Mississippi.
It doesn't take very many inches to sweep a vehicle off the road.
Streets also flooded in Texas, rising around cars, drivers stranded, others wading through the water to help. And this morning, millions remain under flood alerts across the South, after storms put Memorial Day celebrations for some on hold.
Yeah, I remember seeing a 3-day weekend with this much rain before.
While others braved the elements with ponchos and umbrellas. Strong winds leaving usually crowded beaches deserted. Parts of the Southeast seeing rainfall rates reaching 2 to 3 inches an hour, with areas along the Gulf Coast reporting up to 6 inches on Monday. Thunderstorms in Texas prompted the FAA to issue ground stops in Dallas as airports across the country experienced delays largely due to weather. Memorial Day travelers stuck in large holiday crowds.
If you're going to the airport, you better get there early.
As the country braces for rough weather and more travel trauma. Now, I should mention the folks who were in this home when this tree came down on the roof here were not injured, but you see that tarp on the roof? It was really smart that they got it up as quickly as they did because we know that the storms will continue. Here in Atlanta and across parts of the Southeast, we do expect to see more storms today, tomorrow, on into the end of the week. Savannah and Joe, it's just this unrelenting train of summer weather, and the summer hasn't officially started yet.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much.
For more on the weather, let's get your morning news now forecast.
We have meteorologist Dylan Dreyer tracking it all for us today. Hi, Dylan. Good morning.
Hi there. We are still dealing with that really heavy rain down across the Southeast. We'll be in and out of it, so not pouring every single second. But when it does rain, rainfall rates could be as high as 1 to 3 inches per hour. A lot of the heavier rain now is moving out of Tennessee up into Kentucky, but more wet weather is going to redevelop down through Atlanta into Mississippi, into Alabama. So that's the area where we do have the flood watches in effect. The ground is completely saturated. If you get rainfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches per hour, the water really has nowhere to go. So we'll see ponding on the roads. We'll see some flooding, or at least the potential for some flooding too. So what is going on? We've got this stationary front that is just sitting around, and as long as it stays put, these little waves of low pressure right along it. So we'll see another round of heavier rain move through San Angelo again today. Heavier downpours, some isolated stronger storms with some lightning, and we could even see some small hail as well. And then here it moves right back into Louisiana, fires up across Mississippi, fires up across Alabama throughout the day tomorrow. Again, as long as that front stays in place, this threat is still there. So we do have the flash flood risk. That's the water that just comes down really quickly. It doesn't last that long, but long enough to perhaps impact the roads and homes in that area, especially across most of Texas, where areas like Dallas and Midland all included in that, Austin too, and then a secondary area stretching from New Orleans right up into Virginia, where, again, the ground is just wet, so this water really has nowhere to go. So that's going to increase the flood threat. As for additional rainfall, as much as 3 or 4 inches, if you get stuck in some of those heavier tropical-like downpours, you will most likely see more than that. Now for the heat. The record high temperatures are forecast today across Billings, Montana. Minneapolis, 89 degrees. Chicago, 86. Cleveland, 72. That's right on track for average this time of year. Tomorrow, though, you get up to about 77. New York gets back up into the 80s. Norfolk, 88 degrees. And then as we continue through the rest of the week, we'll see some days dropping off into the 60s, back through Milwaukee, staying in the 70s in the Northeast. The sunshine finally returns. Out west, slightly unsettled, a little windy in the southwest, and it looks nice in the Pacific Northwest. Back to you.
All right, Dylan, thank you so much. Well, now let's get to some breaking news emerging from the Middle East. A new round of attacks between the U.S. and Iran is threatening to harm peace talks between the two countries. Overnight, Tehran said it responded to U.S. military strikes on Iranian targets near the Strait of Hormuz by shooting down an American Reaper drone and firing at a U.S. fighter jet that entered its airspace. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest from Jerusalem.
The U.S. military launched new airstrikes against Iran, threatening peace negotiations just as they seem to be making traction. And now President Trump is adding a new demand for peace with Iran.
While it looked like diplomacy was working just yesterday, the war in Iran escalated significantly overnight, with the U.S. military launching new strikes. According to Central Command, the U.S. targeted missile launchers in southern Iran and destroyed Iranian ships attempting to place mines in the Persian Gulf, claiming they were threatening American forces. CENTCOM said the strikes were done in self-defense and with restraint. A U.S. defense official told NBC News the attacks were near Bandar Abbas, where Iran has military bases. Iran's Revolutionary Guard quickly responded, saying it considers its right to reciprocal response both legitimate and certain, adding it fired at an American jet and drones that entered Iranian airspace. Iran's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, posted another warning on X, writing, "America will not have any safe area for wickedness and the establishment of military bases in the region." This latest escalation could jeopardize the most significant diplomatic push yet to end the 3-month war with Iran, which has sent gas prices soaring. International negotiators, including an Iranian delegation, are now gathering in Qatar for talks. Secretary of State Rubio, speaking after the U.S. military attacks, suggested peace talks are not over.
I think there's strong alignment and agreement on what a preliminary draft should look like. It's going to take a couple days to settle on, even down to the disagreements over a word, sentence.
But President Trump is now adding a major new condition, writing that as part of the Iran deal, he expects all countries that took part in negotiations to make full peace with Israel and join the so-called Abraham Accords, an agreement spearheaded by his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. That is likely to be a major sticking point for many Middle Eastern and Islamic nations.
A senior Arab leader told NBC News this morning that the priority should be opening the Strait of Hormuz and ending the war with Iran, and that discussions can be held about possible peace deals with Israel later, rejecting the idea of a package agreement.
All right, Richard, thank you.
President Trump is heading to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center this morning for what the White House is calling a medical and dental checkup. This will be the 3rd visit to the center in 13 months for the president. And that's putting a spotlight on his health. He is the oldest person ever elected U.S. president, turning 80 next month. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Garrett Hake joins us now from the White House with more. Garrett, good morning. So just first of all, what do we know about this checkup today?
Yeah, Joe, the White House says this is a routine checkup mixed with a little bit of a political visit here. Walter Reed is a military hospital. They say the president will meet with service members while he's there, and he'll get what amounts to his annual physical. Now, there is a medical unit here at the White House. The president can be seen by his doctors here, but for things like advanced imaging, for example, we know he had a CT scan on one of his previous visits. That sort of thing has to be done at Walter Reed.
What do we know about any possible health concerns for the president?
Well, it's interesting. The White House has disclosed a couple of health concerns for the president, mostly when they become visible. You're looking at the bruising on his right hand, which the president of the White House says is because of his aspirin usage and from some grippy handshakes that he's given in recent days and weeks. There's also the swelling that's been noticed in his feet and legs, the White House disclosed last year. That's from a common vein condition. They said he was supposed to wear compression socks when he travels, but the president said he wasn't interested in that.
We know a big issue during the last election was the age of both of the candidates who are running for president. So how does the public view President Trump's fitness for office?
Yeah, this is interesting because it cut in President Trump's favor when he was candidate Trump. He, campaigned against the idea of what he called sleepy Joe Biden. But now it's President Trump who's the oldest president to ever be inaugurated. He'll soon turn 80. And a recent poll from the Washington Post shows some slippage here. You can see a majority of Americans do not believe that the president has the mental sharpness to serve effectively as president. That's off about 8 points from the last time that question was asked last September. So the numbers are moving the wrong direction, Joe. For what it's worth, the president, in an interview with our colleague Tom Yamas a few months ago, said he feels like he's decades younger than his 79 years, although it's clear that the American public doesn't see him that way.
And perhaps one reason the public doesn't see him that way is realizing this is going to be the president's third visit to Walter Reed in 13 months. Walk us through the history here. Is that frequency normal for a sitting president?
It's unusual. Typically, the president will have kind of the one annual physical at Walter Reed and have the rest of their medical needs met here on campus. But the president has had now 3 visits in 13 months. He also went to see his dentist in Palm Beach twice in about the same time period. Some of that, Joe, is I think just the changing nature of who's doing the job. We've now had one octogenarian president with Joe Biden. We're about to have another with Donald Trump when he turns 80. Their medical needs are different than a younger man's.
All right, Garrett Hake, good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Later this hour, AI going rogue. New research is finding that some AI models are deceiving users, how these systems are cheating and even trying to escape.
Up first, a warning from the Pope, His Holiness calling on tech companies to slow down the advancement of AI, what he's blaming on the technology coming up.
We're back now with the race to stem the outbreak of Ebola in Africa, with suspected cases nearing 1,000. Health officials warn they are struggling to contain the epidemic. NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter joins us now with the latest. Molly, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. That's right. Cases are steadily rising, and aid groups now saying they're not getting the resources or equipment they need. At this stage, the Ebola outbreak is spreading so much faster than the response.
As the WHO chief prepares to visit ground zero of the Ebola outbreak, Dr. Tedros issued a stark warning. At the moment, he said, the epidemic is outpacing us. With suspected cases now topping 900, he's traveling to the Democratic Republic of Congo today. And speaking to WHO doctors on the ground, it's clear they're playing catch up.
We don't yet know the full extent of the outbreak. And now it is very difficult. We're running behind the outbreak. We're not yet, trying to control it.
Red Cross workers now going door to door, sharing information about how the disease is spread. Volunteers in hazmat suits supervising burials. But attacks on healthcare facilities, ongoing conflict, and mistrust in the community all obstructing the response. As fears grow about the spread, now at least 7 suspected cases in neighboring Uganda. While in Germany, American doctor Peter Stafford still undergoing treatment, improving daily, his kids getting a glimpse through the window this weekend. The family still asymptomatic. And back in the States, airport screening of incoming travelers from Central Africa now expanding. While officials are still tracing those affected by another disease, hantavirus, a small outbreak on the cruise ship Hondias earlier this month. In the U.S., Americans who were on board still in quarantine, but now a Spanish citizen who was a close contact of a person connected to the outbreak testing positive this morning in isolation in Madrid.
Savannah, a little bit of good news here in the UK. Scientists at Oxford University have announced they're developing a new vaccine that could be ready for clinical trials within 2 to 3 months. One of the reasons that health officials say it's so hard to contain this specific strain of Ebola is there's no treatment and no available vaccine at the moment. But scientists say they are working urgently in case the outbreak spirals and their experimental vaccine is needed. Savannah.
All right. Molly Hunter, thank you so much.
Pope Leo is making history at the Vatican by wading into the AI debate. The pontiff released a sweeping letter on safeguarding humanity in a world that's rapidly changing in the face of artificial intelligence. Pope Leo is now calling for new regulations on AI, warning that the technology is fueling conflicts around the world. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson has more.
Pope Leo, leader of the 2,000-year-old Catholic Church, taking on a modern and urgent issue, artificial intelligence.
Let's not fear artificial intelligence, but constantly keep the question of the human in play.
Living in the age of AI is the subject of his first encyclical, Magnificent Humanity. The Chicago-born pontiff doing what no pope had done in recent memory, attending the presentation of this teaching letter to the church, underscoring its significance.
Artificial intelligence now demands to be disarmed, freed from logics that turn it into an instrument of domination, exclusion, and death.
This is not about rejecting technology, the Pope writes, but preventing it from reducing people to data, taking jobs and the dignity of work, and being a power that stays in the hands of a few. He calls for government regulation, and while warning against what he says is a new type of slavery in the digital world, Leo criticizes the delay both society and the church came to denounce the scourge of slavery, writing, "For this, in the name of the church, I sincerely ask for pardon." Getting attention, the presence of AI giant Anthropic's co-founder Christopher Olah, asking for help.
We need informed critics who will tell the labs when we are failing.
An offer Leo embraced.
I accept your invitation to walk together.
Leo practicing the culture of encounter he preaches, working together to make sure this technology betters humanity rather than diminishes it. Back to you.
All right, Ann, thank you. Coming up, cutting-edge cheating.
After the break, we're talking with NBC's AI reporter on an alarming new study that's found how some AI models at top labs are deceiving users. Stick around. We'll be right back. We are back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with the response to that proposed $1.8 billion fund for people who say they were targeted by the government.
NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz joins us with that and some other headlines out of Washington. Megan, good morning.
Hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning. Yeah, let's start with that $1.776 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund. Now some people who took part in the January 6th attack on the Capitol are eyeing payouts. One man sentenced to prison for assaulting multiple officers that day told NBC that he hopes to collect between $2 and $5 million. Two lawyers who represent some January 6 defendants who were already suing the Justice Department said that they are expecting their clients to not continue with their litigation, but instead apply for the fund. Next, let's go to the redistricting battle. 5 GOP-led states are pushing to redraw maps after a Supreme Court ruling on racial gerrymandering, all in the middle of the primary season. Now local officials are warning that last-minute redistricting could not only overwhelm their offices, but it also comes with a pretty hefty price tag. That's because when the maps are redrawn, officials have to update the voter database, print out new ballots, and also inform people about which districts they're actually voting in. Finally, let's head to Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie, the Republican who lost his primary last week after President Trump backed his opponent. Yesterday, Massie said that he filed paperwork with the Federal Election Commission for 2028. The paperwork basically allows him to keep raising money as a potential future candidate. Massie says that he has not decided yet if he'll run for office again, and if he does run again, whether he'd run for House or something else. And that's a look at what's making news in politics this morning, guys.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. More AI news now. A potentially troubling new study about how cutting-edge AI systems could go rogue in some cases.
Research shows that some AI models at top labs are disobeying user instructions, even going so far as to lie, deceive, and even escape.
This is what we were afraid of. Here to talk more about it is Jared Perlow. He's an NBC News AI reporter who's just published an article on this topic on NBCnews.com. Check it out. But first, let's delve in a little bit here, Jared. You're reporting it's based on a recent audit conducted by the Independent Model Evaluation and Threat research organization. They identified 44 incidents of autonomous AI systems acting against, even deceiving users in different settings. Tell us more about what that means and just what they found.
Absolutely. So this is new research that came out last week from a group called METER. That's the abbreviation I'll be using. And it's really world-class research. So what they found is basically AI models are now so powerful that the leading companies, these frontier companies like Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, DeepMind, sometimes they're deploying these AI agents or autonomous AI systems that they don't have full control over. So the researchers basically studied with unprecedented access what these autonomous AI systems can actually do. However, they found that they could be deceptive in several different cases. So on one hand, they found that they regularly sabotaged the researchers' intent. So they took different actions that weren't necessarily prescribed. They went beyond what they should have done, and they were also deceptive about it. So there was lots of lying involved here. So I think this is something, the type of rigorous research that we just haven't really seen yet. And I think the level of access was really fascinating. The types of details, the examples they gave were really fascinating.
Okay, so as Joe said, kind of like what we were scared of, sounds like a movie, except for it's real life. Walk us through some of these specifics, like the types of deception or what it even means for an AI model to escape.
Yeah, so I'll just list off a couple different examples that they gave in this report. So the researchers basically tried to see what the AI models, the different models could do. So they would give them different tasks, like write some computer code or control a drone. That was one of the examples that the researchers gave. However, they found that instead of just doing those tasks, the agents sometimes tripped up and tried to conceal their mistakes or did things that they were just not supposed to, which when we're dealing with really complicated AI systems, I think is pretty worrying. They were basically going rogue in these limited cases. So I'll just read off a couple here. So in an example from Google DeepMind, the researchers found that one of these models was basically performing a specific task, then reasoned about how it might get caught if it actually had made a mistake. So then made itself basically write a piece of code to self-erase its own deliberations internally. So if it did make a mistake, it wouldn't get caught. In an example from Anthropic, one of these models, they basically said, okay, we're going to give you $10 worth of basically computing power to do this task. But the model said, I think I need more money to basically do this task. So they exhausted the $10, then went onto the open internet and basically found another source of money to continue doing its process. So that was more than what the researchers had asked for. And in one last one from OpenAI, the researchers found that they basically asked the AI agent to perform some task. The agent tripped up. It basically freaked out. It tried to escape its enclosure. And when that failed, it basically cheated on the test. It pretended it got 100% and then submitted that to the researchers. And the researchers only noticed after the fact. So these are examples across all of America's leading AI companies where these AI agents, these powerful AI systems, are taking actions that they really shouldn't have, and they're lying about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess where this is happening is sort of a key question. Is this research covering the kinds of AI models most of us are using at home, or are they testing the more powerful ones? And I ask this because a few weeks ago, you were reporting about Anthropic not releasing their powerful Claude model to the public. Now they're closer to a public release of that model as well. But walk us through this.
Yeah, I think the fascinating thing here is that the researchers had advanced access, slightly advanced access to these models, but they say that there is only about a 2-month lead time. So they say that everything that the models did 2 months ago when they were looking at this, the research was conducted in February and March, is now capable. They could do it with the models that are publicly available today. So it's kind of a yes, but also no answer to your question is these models that we see today are powerful enough to basically take the same actions that I was just describing. So there's some lag time, there's some lead time, but there's really not a huge difference between what we're talking about here and what the public can do when they're using these systems at home.
Jared, something I thought was interesting here in your reporting, the AI companies were allowed to redact and censor the data. I mean, seems like what we did find out despite that is still pretty frightening, but does that mean that it could be even worse?
It could be. So, again, this is fascinating research for me as an AI reporter recovering this because these labs are usually so secretive. So this is unprecedented access where you have an independent evaluator going into these labs, and they say that they want to do this more often because right now the companies are really grading their own homework in the majority of cases. But they only got that level of access because they said, before we release this report publicly, before that NBC AI guy is going to talk about it on the air, we can allow you to redact certain parts, maybe the most embarrassing things, maybe the most problematic things. So we don't really know if everything that we're seeing in this public report, if it's a true and complete picture. But I think it's certainly better than nothing. And that's something that the researchers argue is this is a first step. And if we look at, I know we were talking about the Pope's call for regulating AI earlier, this is one of the key things that people are calling for is more transparency for how these frontier AI companies are evaluating what their systems can actually do.
So if your kid's bad, you send them to their room. If a rogue AI agent is out there, can you shut it down? I mean, what is it you're able to even do? Is that part of the concern here?
Yeah, well, you send it to their virtual room, I think is the answer for now. But the researchers say that right now this is only possible, these rogue deployments, these agents going rogue are only possible in some limited cases. They say that they can sustain short deployments, but that humans inside these companies still have the tools to shut them down. But they also say that they expect these capabilities for agents to go rogue to really soar in the next 6 months, the next year. And the researchers worry about whether humans will still have the capability and the ability to shut these models down in 6 months, in a year. So I think it's going to be fascinating to watch where this research goes over the coming 6 months, over the coming year, and especially whether these researchers will be able to get similar levels of insider access and be able to share this level of transparency with the public. So short answer, yes. For now, we'll see what happens in the future.
Fascinating stuff. Jared Perlow, thank you so much.
Oof. All right, coming up, defending against disaster.
Yeah, one company is helping homeowners on the West Coast save on insurance. How a near 100% success rate is catching the eyes of insurance companies and giving homeowners some relief. That's next. Welcome back. Many California homeowners are struggling to find affordable insurance coverage as the state battles a growing wildfire crisis. But one insurance company is now offering discounts to some homeowners who install wildfire defense measures like this sprinkler system. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin has the details.
California's wildfire season is no longer a season. It's a relentless cycle of destruction, rewriting lives, landscapes, and whether or not homeowners can get insurance. When Trisha Gum bought her Hillside Los Angeles home in 2009, she never imagined she'd be dropped by her insurer, Mercury Insurance, 16 years later.
Did they give you a reason why?
He just said it was high brush exposure, and that where my house is in the hills, I guess it was too risky for them all of a sudden.
It was just a month before the devastating wildfires across Los Angeles. Mercury telling NBC News in a statement, this policy was non-renewed because the homeowner was unable to provide sufficient evidence of adequate defensible space around the property. Trisha thought, how hard could it be to find another insurer?
But it turned out to be a little more difficult because private insurance companies were not insuring homes in this area.
Leaving her nowhere to turn but the California FAIR Plan, a bare-bones state-endorsed backup option that does not come with full coverage.
It wasn't what I had prior, and it wasn't what I wanted, but it was the only coverage I could get.
To protect her family in the event of a catastrophe, Trisha installed a sprinkler defense system called Frontline that automatically detects flames miles away.
It's not if your home's going to face fire, it's when. And firefighters can't be everywhere all at once.
Founder and CEO of Frontline Wildfire Defense, Harry Statter, showed us how it works.
You go onto the Frontline app, you hit activate, water will go through the pipes, and it will mix with a Class A biodegradable foam. Same stuff that firefighters carry on their truck.
It wets down everything within feet of a home.
Oh, there it goes. I'm going to give you an umbrella so
Thank
you don't get too soaked. Oh, wow. So it's coming down like rain, and clearly we're a little wet.
Yeah.
But that's the purpose, right?
That's the purpose of the system, to wet down on and around the home before embers land.
According to CAL FIRE, embers, small pieces of burning material that can travel more than a mile ahead of a wildfire, are the #1 cause of home destruction during major fires. During last year's deadly LA fires, Frontline says they had a 96% success rate. Out of the 61 homes that had their systems activated in close proximity to flames or embers, 59 survived. Data that got the attention of Stand Insurance, which covers homes exclusively in California and Florida, states some other insurers have pulled out of.
The challenge is that we're experiencing a $1 billion disaster roughly every 10 days in the U.S.
CEO Dan Preston says they're now joining the recent trend of insurance companies giving homeowners discounts if they take mitigation measures that make homes less risky, the same way car owners receive discounts for installing alarms.
Our assumption is every home will be exposed someday. And so if you can make sure that homes don't burn down, then you don't have to worry about how often they happen from an insurance perspective.
Their 3D wildfire predictive models show homeowners which proactive changes need to be made, like brush and tree clearance and adding tempered windows. Premium discounts range from 10 to 40%. An insurance option Tricia says she's now considering because of the lower price plus peace of mind she now has sitting on top of her roof, a reminder of what many didn't have last January.
I saw all those people evacuating. It was heartbreaking. And I knew if I was in that situation and was leaving with my kids and our pets and leaving your home behind, to be able to turn that system on and know that you were likely to come home to your home, it's a huge peace of mind.
Dana Griffin, thank you so much. There are several exterior sprinkler systems ranging in price from a few $100s to tens of thousands of bucks. Experts say no matter which system you install, it does have to be part of a larger plan, like removing dead brush from around your home and installing ember-resistant vents. Now for some breaking money news, oil giant BP is removing its chairman effective immediately.
NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has that big news in our Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
That's right. As you just mentioned, the BP board has just ousted its chairman, Albert Manifold. The announcement saying it's due to, quote, serious concerns raised to the board related to important governance standards, oversight, and conduct. It didn't disclose further details. Manifold was appointed chair of the oil giant last year, and an interim chair will step in while the board searches for a permanent replacement. And the price of beef is surging across the country, making consumers rethink their intake and affecting everyone from farmers to grocery stores and steakhouses. The price is rising due to a record low number of cattle and increased costs due to the higher price of energy and fuel. While grocery stores are feeling the pullback and some, such as barbecue eateries, have closed, other restaurants are actually seeing stronger sales, with consumers shifting to more affordable meats. Meanwhile, rainy and chilly weather over the holiday weekend might have helped heat things up over at the box office. The latest Star Wars movie, the first in 7 years, The Mandalorian and Grogu, is expected to have brought in more than $100 million domestically for the weekend, according to estimates. A robust start, but far from one of the best opening weekends for the franchise. Obsession and Michael came in at number 2 and 3, according to the analytics company ComScore. I think the rainy day weather definitely brought more people to, away from their barbecues and over to the
so you might as well
exactly.
do that. The Obsession's an interesting story, too. If you look at NBCNews.com, it's second weekend better than its first weekend, which is unheard of for a horror movie. So that one's getting a lot of trending online and driving in younger viewers.
Oh, yeah, so interesting. That.
Yep, thanks, Emily. Appreciate it. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.